The Sunshine Tour and Fortress have announced a significant increase in prize money for the 2025 Fortress Invitational, as well as an increase in the end-of-season bonus for the Fortress Rookie of the Year award. Now, the 2025 Fortress Invitational will be played at the Glendower Golf Club from the 16th to the 19th of October for an increased purse of 2.5 million. Now, this represents an overall increase in 1 million rand in prize money since the Fortress Invitational first teed off in 2022, which was the beginning of a valuable partnership with the Sunshine Tour. Now, this season's Fortress Rookie of the Year winner will also walk with a check of 400,000 rand, which is double the previous season. Now, to talk to us about his preparations for the Fortress Invitational, we're joined by Merrick Bremner, who is returning to action after a 12-week recovery. Now, this is after he donated one of his kidneys to his wife. Merrick, a very good evening, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Quena and viewers. Thank you so much for having me.
I mean, the first thing to ask, what's the recovery like? 12 weeks? Have you recovered enough to go back to playing golf?
Yeah, so it's actually week 17. So I was forced 12 weeks without swinging and without practicing. So I've had 5 weeks of preparation, more or less. It'll be 5 weeks on Tuesday next week. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to returning. So I would have had about 8 weeks under my belt of practice and preparation, but really looking forward to returning to action at the Fortress.
Merrick, I mean, before we even talk about Fortress, I have to ask, I mean, talk to me about that decision and what it took of you as a sportsman, but also to make that donation to your wife for one of your kidneys.
Yeah, so for me, Quinn, it was quite an easy one. My wife has been my pillar and my rock throughout my entire career. She's given me a beautiful son. Well, we both have a beautiful son. And it was more for him and to grow up having a mom or knowing his mom well. Seeing her on the dialysis machine for nearly 3 years was very difficult for us as a family. So when I found out that I was a match, it was a very easy decision for me to make to put my career on hold and try and lengthen her life.
And how's the recovery period been for both of you?
Look, it was a lot harder in the beginning because our wounds were obviously quite fresh and professionally my wife's anti-rejection meds or immunosuppressants were at their highest, so she wasn't really allowed to leave home in case of getting sick or anything like that. It has relaxed a little bit now, which has made things slightly easier, but still it's been tough. It hasn't been easy. You know, you have a lot of sore days and a lot of rest, and not being able to go outside and play golf or practice or do any kind of movement, it was quite difficult.
Were you never worried at any point that you might not be able to play golf again?
The thought crossed my mind, but very briefly, you know. I think when you're faced with a situation or a decision like that, you don't really think too much about the what ifs, you know. You rather worry just to get through the moment. And, you know, it was a difficult and a very tough decision because especially for our son, you know, having both parents going under the knife at the same time, and with any surgery, there are obviously complications that can arise. So thankfully, none of those happened with us. And yeah, it was a big success, and we're just so thankful that to the doctors and the staff at Donald Gordon for assisting us the way they did, and for the procedure that went so well.
I'm sure at some point, though, you were missing the greens, the tees, and everything else, and itching to go back into action.
No, definitely every day. I mean, I said to someone else in an interview recently that I think the longest time I spent without touching a club was probably 2 weeks. And even then I was itching to go back, and now being forced not to be able to do anything for 12 weeks was very, very tough. But yeah, really thankful that I've made a full recovery and I'm able to get back at it.
So you've been hitting those balls. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. A little bit weird. I mean, not being able to play for 3 months, you know, it takes its toll on a person. You see your mobility and your fitness and things aren't exactly as they were when you stopped. But yeah, hopefully we can get back into the swing of things sooner rather than later.
And I mean, obviously now the first competition that you're going into is the Fortress starting on the 16th. How have your preparations been in comparison to previously heading into Fortress this time around?
Yeah, look, I mean, they've been very different. You know, this is just now I'm trying to find a rhythm and kind of a swing and a game to go and compete with, you know, where before I had the luxury of being at full strength and full competition mode, and now it's quite different. I think it's a little bit more relaxed as well, not having any pressure or any kind of expectation. Just I've found my love for the game again. Strangely enough, in the 12-week period, you get a lot of time to reflect. So, I think I've got a renewed mindset when I go back to competition as well.
And I mean, that was going to be my next point, that I'm sure your mindset also changes having been away for such a long time, but also with what you have done and being at a point where you thought you might not be able to play again. That must have some sort of a paradigm shift mentally for you.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of you reflect and you have time to think and try, kind of prioritize, and you can kind of box things together. So, yeah, I have definitely had a paradigm shift in thinking and approach, which might help. Let's see how we go.
Now, looking at the tournament itself, what's your expectation? I mean, Fortress has been growing in leaps and bounds. You've played quite a number of times on the Sunshine Tour, won quite a number of times on the Sunshine Tour. What's your expectation from Glendower coming from the 16th?
Look, I mean, Glendower has always been a magnificent venue. They've hosted SA Opens, and I think this might be the third edition of the Fortress at Glendower Golf Club. They always present a great golf course and a fantastic challenge. Hopefully we get some rain and the rough can get up and really make it a good test. And, hats off to Fortress and the Sunshine Tour for increasing the prize fund and all they do for growing the game of golf or professional golf in South Africa.
And I mean, I want to talk about that. I mean, if you have tournaments like Fortress that focusing on the rookie, but also focusing on the local game, as a pro golfer yourself, what does this mean to have this sort of tournaments that are focusing even more on development than professionals?
Look, it's great. I mean, we have to develop everyone, or if we can, at a younger age, to create a higher level of competition in the kids or the teenagers' adulthood. That's why I think we have an abundance of golfers, and you can see it now. All of our guys are competing well on the world stage, and with the partnerships, the global partnerships that are being created through the foundation phase or through the development stage, it's just fantastic.
And I mean, Merrick, you've played almost all over the world in different courses. What makes the Sunshine Tour and South African golf courses and competitions special for you as a golfer?
Look, man, you can't beat the weather in South Africa or the food or the wine. We're very blessed. No, we have some really great golf courses, and we are very lucky where we have some amazing places in South Africa that we get to go and visit. The food and the drink are also incredible. But yeah, I think just our country as a whole is so friendly. I've traveled the world playing golf, and it can get really lonely out there when you not really be able to compete, to communicate well, because there's different languages and barriers and things. Where our country, I think the people are very friendly and very welcoming, and it's just a fantastic place to come and visit and play golf.
Your take on the field on the 16th to the 19th at Glendower. How tough do you think this competition will be?
Look, I mean, it's generally a really good turnout. It's a full field event, so we're going to have a big depth of competition. I think a lot of the overseas guys, the guys that have been competing on the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour, might be heading home, and hopefully a few of them will tee it up, and that always adds to the value and the strength of the field. But it is always a stiff competition, especially being in Joburg. It's going to be a low-scoring event. Hopefully the weather plays its part, and we can all have a lovely tournament.
From a spectator perspective, if you look at the past couple of years, Fortress has really been doing very well from audience perspective and spectator perspective, which makes it an exciting tournament for you guys as professional golfers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, without the help of sponsors and their activations, what they do to try and include the public to come and support us, we don't really have a job. So we're very thankful to them. And hopefully the guys in Gauteng turn up in their numbers and come and see us on the 16th to the 19th at Glendower.
All right, just a final one, Merrick. I mean, any expectations in terms of the game itself on the 16th to the 19th, or is it just a question of taking it easy and see how the body will adjust after the 12-week, 17-week layoff, as it were?
Yeah, look, I mean, there's obviously, I say that I'm going to enter with no expectations, but there obviously are a few mental expectations that I like to have. But performance-wise, definitely not. I mean, I need to take it easy and understand that the procedure that I went through wasn't a minor one, it was quite a big one. So putting performance pressure on myself is probably not something that I'm going to do. The only thing I want to do is actually enjoy it and embrace the feeling of competition again, because that, at the end of the day, is what I live for. The being in the hunt and giving yourself an opportunity to compete at the highest level.
Well, Merrick, thank you so much for taking this time to speak to us. And I guess the positive thing about this is that you are still able to do what you love the most and still have your loved ones with you to watch you and witness you doing what you love.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Quinn. I appreciate your time. And please, guys, turn out if you can.
That's Merrick Bremner talking to us there about the Fortress Invitational, an amazing story of a professional sportsman who decided to donate one of his kidneys to his wife, but still able to continue and play the game that he loves.